Now, I don't know about you, but the first thing I do when I'm a hot, sweaty mess after a long, grueling race is go near girls while they eat. They effing love when you smell like the onions on their burgers. Better yet, leaving right after an all-day wrestling championship. Girls effing love the embrace of a guy who is bathed in the collective juices of recently groped opponents, all while rolling around a wrestling mat slathered in bacteria. Without showering, Zack hits the max to show off his ribbon.
Third place! Wow!
This talk about third place is a bit triggering for me. I ran long distance in high school. At a big event, I was one of only 2 runners in a race. The other guy smoked me, though I ran a personal best. Despite only 2 runners, they gave me a 3rd place medal. This would have been a nice consolation prize. Now note the rest of Screech's line.
Third place! Wow! I once finished 5th in an Alf lookalike contest.
This bad joke was put in the show to remind you that Screech is on the same network as Alf. Slater shows up and everyone in the freaking Max loses their freaking minds about this massive freaking trophy. In fact, despite it clearly being after school, everyone heads back to Bayside to see Mr. Belding put the trophy in a case we have never seen before.
Would you teach me how to wrestle?
And it is this moment where Zack decides that Slater has got to go.
Hey, Zack, Slater isn't that great. You could do that too if you had muscles.
Just then, Slater's father shows up asking for Mr. Belding. Zack has a plan and convinces Screech to spy on the conversation. Hey, since when are these lockers orange? They've been red in every single episode up to this point. Why are we changing now? Just seems like an odd production choice to me. Things immediately get weird in Mr. Belding's office.
Proud to say I served my country in the Fighting 55th.
Nam?
Indiana. National Guard.
First off, Mr. Belding admits he was never in the Army, but in the National Guard back in Indiana. Second, Mr. Belding just referenced life in Indiana, which means we have a solid confirmation that the junior high year, which inexplicably took place with Zack, Lisa, Screech, and Belding in Indiana, it's canon. This still doesn't explain how everyone got to California. Finally, Mr. Belding says he never served in Vietnam. So how does one explain the fact that he had a girlfriend who was a Viet Cong?
No, I never had a date until I was in the Army. Even she was with the enemy. After the war, I was dateless again. That Viet Cong girl dumped me.
Major Slater informs Mr. Belding and AC that the family is off to Hawaii. Slater is not too thrilled with the news.
I thought you wanted to go to Hawaii.
Well, I did when we were in Iceland. I have real friends here for a change.
Why did we turn this great character moment into an Iceland joke? Do the writers not know Iceland is nice? Slater has until Friday to decide. All the while, Screech has been spying on the conversation and reports to Zack that Slater has the choice to move to Hawaii. And Zack has a plan. Gee, I hope it makes more sense than what we've seen in this episode so far. Before moving on to Zack's plan, I want to point out again that Zack and Screech really are buddies. Here, Zack expresses real concern for how cramped Screech was in the filing cabinet.
That's all right. Just paint me blue and call me a Smurf.
No thanks, I'd rather call you Gollum. And the Smurf reference is the second cross-promotion of a fellow NBC show. Back to Zack's plan. He tells the girls that Slater is dying and needs to go to a special clinic in Hawaii. How does Zack know all this? He claims to have bugged Belding's office.
You wouldn't do that.
Trust me, he would do that.
You know he would. Why is Jesse the only one that remembers this? Now, in order to get Slater to Hawaii, Zack tells the girls to make him hate being at Bayside. And by the way, what was the name of that disease again?
Quad-Relation-Osis.
You probably didn't need me to do this for you. but you are nonetheless welcome. Also, remember when Zack faked his own disease in the Stevie episode?
Well, it's a very rare, Descarosis.
You are bad at naming diseases! Boom! To her credit, Jessie asks Mr. Belding about Slater's status before committing to Zack's plan. He thinks her vague questions are about Slater's transfer. She thinks his calloused answers are about Slater's death.
Then it's true Slater won't be with us much longer?
Might as well kiss him goodbye. He's out of here.
And hilarity ensues!
Mr. Belding, that is so insensitive.
Slater's going to a better place. We should all be so lucky.
And all the while, nobody asks any qualifying questions. With Jessie's research done and Zack making Slater look like a lost cause, the girls are committed to Zack's plan.
Hey, this is study hall, not Soul Train.
Hello, Dustin Diamond's real dad. Boom!
It's showtime.
Ew, we can do better than that. Boom!
It's showtime.
Hi, Jesse. It's a great day, huh?
Somebody wrote that line. Well, Jessie and her fish skeleton earrings berate Slater. Lisa shows up and does the same thing. But hey, at least he's got his trophy, right?
Can't believe this. I hate this school.
The ruse continues at the max until...
I'm moving to Hawaii.
Oh, yes.
And I'm going with them.
What have I done?
Uh-oh, Zack. Plot twist. Slater finally asks for some clarification and learns about Zack's plan. He doesn't tell Kelly that he isn't dying. Slater finds Zack and asks him to use his fancy wordsmithery to convince Major Slater to stay in California. Zack agrees because that means that Kelly stays. And here we get our first time out. Yup, Zack is a Time Lord. But what does this scene look like to Slater?
Wait a minute. Would you mind talking to him for me, Zack? I'd really... Well, sure, if you think it'll make a difference.
Oh,
It's kind of weird that Slater doesn't finish his sentence. Zack shows up at the Slater residence, and Major Slater acts insane to get Zack to confess to getting AC to leave. The craziest thing Major Slater does isn't the grenade gag, but this phrase.
You've got 3 minutes. Oh, that's smarts.
Sane Army majors don't say smartles. And then there's this. So now we have Slater's going away party, where we get the greatest image ever caught to film. No, it's not 3 gorgeous ladies in grass skirts. No, it's not Screech doing his best Carmen Miranda impression. It's not even Max's gift to Slater.
It's a man-eating plant.
That's just stupid. No, it's this roasted pig. If production knew it looked like an overinflated football with googly eyes, why does it have a close-up? Zack shows up with the trophy, and Slater admits to everyone that he isn't sick, just messing with Zack. The ladies do not appreciate their roles as pawns, and the 2 boys are left to lob grenades at each other. When Saved by the Bell was initially ordered, 7 episodes were produced. Aloha Slater was the last to be filmed, and producer Peter Engel knew he had a hit on his hands. The story goes that he entered NBC President Brandon Tartikoff's office and lay on the floor demanding 13 more episodes to make a full season. The request was eventually granted so that Mr. Tartikoff could get back to work. Despite 20 episodes being filmed for the first season, only 16 aired, which means that 4 would air in later seasons. Yeah, it will be noticeable. Further, the episode order was mixed up a bit to suit the flow of the series. We've already talked about how Dancing to the Max wasn't the original pilot. One thing that has always baffled me about this episode was the orange lockers. Even if we look at the other 2 episodes that made up the initial 7-episode order, being King of the Hill and the Election, this episode is still the only one to use orange lockers. It makes me think the color balance was played with. AC's dad was played by Gerald Castillo. His on-screen credits aren't all that impressive, as he is better known for his stage acting and directing. Then again, he was in Death Wish 4, The Crackdown, because one death wish is never enough!
Oh, that's Smarts.